Colbyjack.net is proud to present From the Flames by Trisha M. Wilson. The people of the fire, the Blesa, led by their queens, have ruled the island of Alfeyju and oppressed the Driva, the people of the ice, for more than 16 generations. With the Drivian King in hiding and little hope on the horizon, the Driva looked to one person to save them from the vile Blesa, the Diviana. According to legend, the divinely gifted Diviana will one day overthrow the Blesa and restore the Drivian King to his rightful throne. But with the search having lasted for more than 400 years, will the Diviana ever come to light? Willow is the slave of the Raskpil family. Bought at the age of 4, 20 years have passed since her life irrevocably changed. Her existence is no worse than any other slave, but within, Willow wonders if there isn't something more she should be doing with her life other than serving the ungrateful. Ordered to travel with her master's family to Sondertoft, so her master's adult children can take part in an ancient rite of passage, Willow is shocked when she learns that she too must participate. Will she fail, as all before her have? Will she rise to the challenge and become stronger after passing through the flames? Episode 49, Chapter 27, The New Plan. The Blesian Palace of Nanfrid, in the capital city of Eldurun. Lord Alvis, standing in the shadows, watched and waited for Queen Silverland to summon him. She'd been very disappointed in him for allowing the girl and her companions to escape. But when she had eventually calmed down, she'd been willing to acknowledge that they'd both underestimated her. They would not make the same mistake twice. As he observed yet another person petitioning Her Majesty, arms snaked around his body. He stiffened for only a second before he recognized who the arms belonged to. "Kellen, what have I told you about sneaking up on me?" Alvis asked in a low voice, as to not draw any attention to them. "You said not to, but it's so fun to sneak up on you," she said seductively. She ran her hands up and down his chest. "Why so serious, love?" Alvis captured her hand before it went too low and said, "Life is serious, Kalina. A fact you would have learned by now if it wasn't for your delightful company." Drawing her in front of him, he admired her enjoyable body. Pale-skinned and with fair hair, she drew eyes everywhere she went, be they male or female. Leaning into the hand that ran up the side of her curvaceous body, Kalina caressed his face and asked, "When did you get back? I missed you. My bed was so cold without you." "I arrived home late last night, and don't lie to me. I know you've had your fair share of attention since I left." Kalina's luscious lips pouted. "I may have entertained a few people, but they don't mean anything. You know how I only care for you, love." "And the Queen," he added, glancing over her head to the woman in question. "Did you entertain her during my absence, kitten?" "You know a lady never kisses and tells, Al." "But you're not a lady, kitten," Alvis reminded. "You're a whore, willing to spread her legs for anyone with enough silver or power." Kalina pulled back from Alvis's caresses. "I am a lady who is free with her attentions. But I have standards, and you can be sure I will not be entertaining you any time in the future." Pulling her back against his chest, he said, "That's not very nice, considering all I've done for you over the years." Softening within his embrace, she said, "I'm sorry, love. You know how appreciative I am for everything you've done." Rubbing against his body, she said in a lower voice, "Let's go back to your room, and I'll show you just how appreciative I am." Before he could answer, Queen Silverland's voice called out, "Alvis, I require your presence in my study." setting Kalina aside, he murmured, "Meet me in my room tonight." He only waited long enough to see her nod before he strode out of the shadows and said, "Of course, Your Majesty." Rising from her throne, she started walking out of the room when she suddenly said, "Kalina, I also need your presence." Kalina came from the shadows and followed them. Upon entering the Queen's private study, she sighed silently with delight. She had always loved this room, from the plush chairs to the large windows showing the countryside. It felt welcoming and comforting, even if the Queen didn't always exude those traits herself. Standing just inside the room, she watched as Queen Silverun took a seat in front of the roaring fire and indicated to Lord Alvis to sit in a nearby chair. Looking to Kalina, she said, "Come, pet, sit. We have much to discuss." "As you command, Your Highness," Kalina murmured, moving to the chair next to Alvis. "Perhaps you are wondering why I have summoned you here, pet. Alvis recently had a run-in with those fugitives I've been trying to catch." "Which fugitives?" Kalina asked. "Forgive me, Your Majesty, but there are more than a few fugitives loose on your fair island." "The girl and her 2 companions," Alvis said sharply. "Remember the ones the Queen has put such a high bounty on?" "Of course! How could I have forgotten?" Kalina said. "Pay attention," Queen Silverun ordered, "for if you forget what I now say, you will live to regret it. The girl and her companions were recently spotted at Nor, but evaded the men I'd sent to grab them. My men were scared off by a leopard and then claimed a sudden snowstorm stopped them from tracking the fugitives down. What pathetic excuses! With this second failure of my trusted men," she said with a meaningful look at Alvis, "I have decided to approach these fugitives differently. Force will not work on them. That I am now assured of, but they may be vulnerable to a more subtle attack." "What type of attack do you mean, Your Majesty? Do you want us to lie in wait for them and then surprise them as we attempted earlier?" Alvis asked. "No. If that had been my idea, I wouldn't need Kalina's presence at this meeting, would I? My plan will only work, however, if it stays between the 3 of us. Spies are everywhere, and who knows how many could be secretly working for the girl." "You believe she has spies amongst us? Who? Give me their names, and I will root out the traitors surrounding us," Alvis vowed. "Your passion is commendable, but even if we tried to torture the information out of them, I fear they'd claim ignorance." "I could always make some inquiries," Kalina suggested. "People have a tendency to talk within my presence. I can be very persuasive when I want information." "I admire your resolve to help, but I have decided you are needed for an even more important mission, and if you succeed, you shall be rewarded beyond all of my men," Queen Silverun said. "I will do whatever you ask of me," Kalina said. "I know you will, pet. Your loyalty and special ability to make others talk is why I have chosen you amongst all the people at my disposal. I have received information pertaining to the future location of the fugitives. They are heading to a small town on the southwest coast. I'm sending you, along with some of my men, to meet them and ingrain yourself in their little group. I want a person I trust close to the girl, able to give me updates on her progress to usurp my crown." "How do you propose I get in with them? I am a stranger. With all the attacks from you, they must be weary of strangers." "I have an idea, but I'll have my men tell you once you're on your way. You should also come up with an idea or 2 of your own, in case mine does not work under whatever circumstances you meet them," Queen Silverun said. "What can you tell me about them?" Kalina asked, glancing toward Alvis. "I only met 2 of the 3. The girl was unreasonably well-spoken and quick on her feet. She denied any knowledge of the sacred objects or possessing any powers, but she does. Her powers, which I was on the receiving end of, were magnificent. She has more control than I thought she would for one who has only known them for a few months. Do not underestimate her as I did." Alvis paused for a second before saying, "Her staff is special to her. When you're around her, see if you can find out why. It might be important if we are to defeat her. As for her companions, there are 2 men. The black-haired one, I believe, is in love with her. He's the one I beat up while trying to get some information out of him. He stuck to the same story as the girl, but I know that if I had had a little longer, he'd have broken." "What about the other man? Do you know anything about him?" "No," Alvis said. "I didn't have enough time to meet him, but I suspect he'd have said the same thing as the others. Very close-knit group they are." "How could you tell?" Queen Silverland asked. "If I'd been them, I'd have left the one in my presence and ran when nobody was aware we'd broken out. But they came back for him. Very rare actions for people on the run." "So, loyalty appears to be at the heart of their convictions," Kalina said, pondering the quality. "Once they believe I'm loyal to their cause, I'll be able to exploit it and in turn them. Do you want me to interfere with their quest? Sabotage their efforts? Prevent their acquisition of the sacred objects?" Queen Silverland paused for a second, thinking hard about her answer. "No, not at this time. Help them on their way and report to me after each achievement. Answer each report to Nanny Lynn. Tell them I'm your elderly nanny who's requested you to write. I really don't care what story you make up. Just be sure to report to me any information you receive." "Yes, Your Majesty," Kalina said. "Have you any more information to add?" Queen Silverland asked Alvis. "No, I've told you everything I know." "Then you are free to leave. Pet, you stay. I have a little more to say to you." Alvis got to his feet, bowed to Queen Silverland, then turned to Kalina. Kissing her cheek, he whispered in her ear, "I'll miss you, kitten. Complete your mission quickly. My bed will be empty without you." "I'm sure you'll find another girl to fill it quickly," she demurred. "Yes, but none I'm as attached to. Good travels." "Goodbye, my lord." Alva stood up and left without looking back. Queen Silverland waited until the door closed behind Alvis. "I too will miss you in my bed, pet. None of the others can pleasure me quite like you can." "I'm humbled, Your Majesty. I try my best to please you." "And you always succeed. Go and pack your things. You leave tomorrow morning, before the sun has fully risen. My men will accompany you to your destination, making sure you aren't harassed or detained by rebels." "But, Your Majesty, if I am traveling with a group of your men, won't my cover be blown before I have a chance to infiltrate the group?" "They will not look or act like my men. If asked, you are their sister who is going to her betrothed. Have no fears, these are some of my best men. They are much better than any of the previous I've sent to do my bidding. They know how critical your mission is." "Your reassurances calm my mind, Your Majesty. I'll prepare to leave at once." Kalina got to her feet and was halfway to the door when Queen Silverland said, "When you're done packing, come to my chamber. I wish to avail myself of your company before you leave me." "Yes, Your Majesty. I'll be there as soon as possible." "See that you are." You have been listening to From the Flames by Trisha M. Wilson. Read, recorded, mastered, encoded, and produced by Colbyjack.net. This work is released under a Creative Commons 3.0 Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Do what you want with it. Just don't try to profit from it. Heaven knows we can't. If you have any questions, comments, or rants you wish to share with us, we can be reached at Colbyjack.net. That's COLBYTRAX @COLBYJACK.net. Yep, I sing it too. If you want to follow the exploits of Trisha in Twitterland, just search for Lady Trisha W on Twitter, or follow the ever-dashing, courageous, hardworking, intelligent, and immensely humble Colbyjack on the Twitters as well. If you find that you can't, just wait to find out what will happen with Willow, the strong dude and the annoying dude. Be heartened to know that From the Flames is available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords, as well as from our little shop. Didn't you know about our little shop? Why, yes, we have a little shop located at shop. That's shop.colbyjack.net. That's shop.colbyjack.net. Yeah, real original there. There you will find the latest ebook versions of all our works in both Mobi and ebook, all DRM-free, as well as audiobook versions of such works as Firmware Hijacked and Proxy, as well, naturally, as well as From the Flames. The audiobooks differ from the podcasts in that the headers and bumpers only run once, and the episodes are grouped into hour-long episodes for easy burning to CD or for downloading on the go. If you find you don't need any stuff, but just want to thank us monetarily for our efforts here, just head on over to Colbyjack.net, select either audio or visual, and look for the donate button located on the blog roll. Well, anyway, thank you for listening, have a wonderful week, and remember to be fabulous.